Mindset to Action, Transforming Knowledge into Impact Audiobook. Written by Benjamin W. Hart and published by 33-Minute Brief Books. Introduction. Our beliefs shape the world we live in, whether we choose bliss or misery. Belief is the key to excellence, as it determines our perception of life and how we live it. By finding beliefs that lead to desired outcomes, we can achieve success. Just like knowing your goals, taking action, evaluating results, and adapting as needed is essential for success, finding beliefs that support your goals is crucial. It's important to discard beliefs that don't help us progress and embrace new ones that do. Success lies in beliefs that enrich our lives and enable us to become better individuals. We may not know the absolute truth, but we can recognize beliefs that work for us and others, leading to a more fulfilling life. Success is not about avoiding failure, but about learning from it and trying again. Experience is the key asset that we gain each day. Those who fear failure often sabotage themselves by focusing on what might go wrong instead of taking action. Failure is not dwelt upon by those who achieve greatness. They see it as a learning experience. Take Abraham Lincoln, for example, who faced numerous setbacks before becoming president. Thomas Edison also saw his attempts to invent the light bulb as steps towards success, not failures. Winners understand that failure is simply feedback to help refine their approach. Mistakes are valuable lessons that contribute to our growth and success. As Buckminster Fuller said, humans learn through trial and error. Reflect on your past failures. What have you learned from them? It is through these experiences that we gain the knowledge and insight needed to achieve our goals. Remember, it's not about avoiding failure, but about embracing it as a stepping stone towards success. Buckminster Fuller's concept of failure is a powerful reminder that failure is just feedback, used to make finer distinctions about what needs to be done to achieve desired outcomes. He uses the metaphor of a ship's rudder to illustrate this concept, suggesting that every error or mistake takes on emotional baggage and reflects negatively on us. For instance, many people may feel down on themselves due to their weight, but they can embrace the fact that they have produced excess fat and are now going to produce a new result called being thin by producing new actions. By focusing on specific actions that someone has produced to remain thin mentally and physically, one can consistently produce the same results. Belief in failure can poison the mind, affecting our physiology, thinking process, and state. One of the greatest limitations for most people is their fear of failure. Dr. Robert Schuller, who teaches the concept of possibility thinking, asks the question, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? If you truly believed you could not fail, you might take a whole new set of actions and produce powerful new desirable results. To grow, it is essential to realize that there is no such thing as failure. There are only results, and if it is not the one you desire, you can change your actions and produce new results, crossing out the word failure and circled the word outcome. In this book encourages commitment to learning from every experience. For more information about this audiobook, check the video description. We notice that 72% of you who listen to our videos are not yet subscribed to the channel. Please help support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and liking the video. Thanks for inspiring us to create more content for you. People are the greatest resource for success, and individuals of excellence often have a tremendous sense of respect and appreciation for people. They have a sense of team, common purpose, and unity, which is essential for long-lasting success. Companies that succeed are those that treat people with respect and dignity, viewing their employees as partners, not as tools. In Search of Excellence, authors Thomas J. Peters and Robert H. Waterman, Jr., found that companies that treated people with respect and dignity were more likely to succeed. Respect for people is easier to glibly mouth than to actually adopt. It's important to constantly remain alert, readjust our behavior, and recalibrate our actions to ensure we are going where we want to go. Treating people with respect and doing it are not the same thing. Those who succeed are the most effective in saying to others, how can we do this better? How can we fix this? And how can we produce greater results? They know that one man alone will find it very difficult to match the collaborative talents of an effective team. Work is play, and one of the keys to success is making a successful marriage between what you do and what you love. Pablo Picasso once said, "When I work, I relax. Doing nothing or entertaining visitors makes me tired." People can all do their best to find work that invigorates and excites them, and they can bring to whatever they do at work many of the aspects of what we do at play. Mark Twain said, "The secret of success is making your vocation your vacation." There are some people who have achieved massive success by doing what they hate, but there are also those who seem maniacally focused on work because they love it. They tend to look at work the way most of us look at play, seeing it as a way to stretch themselves, learn new things, and explore new avenues. Some jobs are more conducive to this than others, and the key is to work your way toward those jobs. The synergistic nature of a coherent belief system, the way positive beliefs support other positive beliefs, is another example. There are no dead-end jobs, and people who have lost the sense of possibility, decided not to take responsibility, or believe in failure will never be anything more. However, enriching your world and work can be achieved by bringing the same curiosity and vitality to your play. There's no abiding success without commitment. Individuals who succeed have a belief in the power of commitment. The great Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova once said, "To follow without halt, one aim is the secret of success." This is just another way of stating the ultimate success formula: know your outcome, model what works, take action, develop the sensory acuity to know what you're getting, and keep refining it until you get what you want. This is seen in any field, even those where natural ability would seem to have the strongest hold. Larry Bird, Pete Rose, and Tom Watson are examples of athletes who have consistently used their commitment to excellence as a force driving them to put everything they have into everything they do. The quality of commitment that separates good from great is an important component of success in any field. This chapter focuses on finding remedies for changing one's life, empowering them, and leaving them limp. It teaches how to change states, actions, and results in the body in a matter of moments. Traditional therapy often believes that people need to go back to deep-seated negative experiences and experience them again, which is one of the least effective ways to help people with their problems. This approach may even reinforce the painful or unresourceful pattern, making it easier to trigger these states in the future. NLP teaches a different model of change, which is different from the one used in many schools of therapy. Instead of putting people in an unresourceful state, we can create a new model for the process of change. We store our experiences in the brain like records in a jukebox, and our recordings can be played back at any time if the right stimulus is triggered. This means that we can choose to remember experiences or push buttons that play songs of happiness and joy, or we can push buttons that create pain. To produce more effective results, we need to change the ways we produce unresourceful feelings and emotions. We don't have to experience all that remembered pain to change our state. What we need to do is change the internal representation from a negative to a positive one that is automatically triggered and causes us to produce more effective results. We have to rev up the circuits to ecstasy and turn off the juice of the circuits to pain. NLP looks at the structure of human experience, not the content. While we can be sympathetic from a personal point of view, we don't care much about what happened. What we care about is how you put together in your mind what happened. The main difference between how you produce the state of depression or the state of ecstasy is the way you structure your internal representations. We structure our internal representations through our 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. The ingredients of all human experiences are derived from our 5 senses or modalities. To produce the precise result you want, you must know exactly how much of each ingredient is needed. If you put in too much or too little of any particular ingredient, you will not produce the kind and quality of result you want. When human beings want to change something, they usually want to change one or both of 2 things: how they feel, state, and/or how they behave. For example, a smoker often wants to change how he physically and emotionally feels, state, and his behavioral pattern of reaching for cigarette after cigarette after cigarette. In the chapter on the power of state, it was made clear that there are 2 ways to change people's states, and thus their behaviors, either to change their physiology, which will change how they feel and the kind of behavior they produce, or to change their internal representations. In conclusion, NLP teaches a different model of change than traditional therapy, which focuses on the structure of human experience rather than the content. By changing the internal representations of our experiences, we can produce more effective results and change our lives in a matter of moments. We can alter our internal representations by changing what we represent or how we represent something. Many of us have key submodalities that trigger immediate responses within our brain. By understanding these submodalities, we can take charge of our own mind and represent things in a way that empowers rather than limits us. Submodalities are the precise amounts of ingredients required to create a result, making them the smallest and most precise building blocks that make up the structure of human experience. To understand and control a visual experience, we need to know more about it, such as brightness, color, motion, and resonant or tinny. We also need to know if an auditory communication is loud or quiet, near or far, resonant or tinny, or if a kinesthetic experience is soft or hard, sharp or smooth, flexible or stiff. Another important distinction is whether an image is associated or disassociated. An associated image is one that you experience as if you were really there, seeing it through your own eyes, hearing, and feeling what you would if you were actually at that time and place in your own body. A disassociated image is one you experience as if you were watching it from outside yourself, like watching a movie of yourself. By understanding and adjusting our internal representations, we can take charge of our own mind and begin to represent things in a way that empowers rather than limits us. The text outlines a series of exercises that can help individuals change their internal representations and experiences. The exercises involve imagining a pleasant memory, making it brighter and closer, and then bringing the mental picture closer to the person. This manipulation changes the intensity of the experience, increasing the power and pleasure of the internal representation. All people have access to three modalities or representational systems: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. People rely on different degrees of these systems, with some being primarily visual and others being auditory. To manipulate an image, one can raise the volume of voices or sounds, make them more rhythmic, bass or timbre, and make the memory warmer, softer, and smoother. This alters the intensity of the experience, making it more appealing and putting the person in a more positive, resourceful state. The same exercise can be used with a negative image, which can intensify the negative feelings and cause more pain. When the image is put back where it was, the negative feelings lose their power. The same process can be done with the auditory modality, making the voices more lethargic, snapping, and making the image feel wispy and insubstantial. This process can lead to the image losing its power, becoming less potent, less painful, or even non-existent. The text emphasizes the importance of understanding the power of these exercises in counseling sessions. By doing these exercises in a focused, intense way, one can observe how the manipulation of the image changes their feelings about it. The author suggests that one can take a positive feeling and make it stronger and more empowering, as well as strip a powerful negative image of its power. In summary, the text highlights the power of changing one's internal representations and experiences. One can either let their brain run automatically on cue, like a Pavlovian dog responding to a bell, or choose to consciously run their brain themselves. This allows individuals to take bad experiences and images and sap them of their strength and power, representing them to themselves in a way that no longer overpowers them. This can lead to better decision-making and increased energy and joy in life. An example of this is imagining a large task as a small picture, which can help individuals feel more capable of handling it and taking appropriate action instead of feeling overwhelmed. By changing their representations, individuals can feel more empowered and capable of handling tasks. In addition to enhancing good experiences, one can also take the little joys of life and make them bigger, brightening up their vision of the day and making themselves lighter and happier. This approach can create more juice, joy, and ardor in life. In this chapter, the Mr. Hart discusses the concept of the brain and how it can control our perception of life. The author argues that our brain is a powerful tool for expressing our experiences, and we can control our mental images to avoid negative states. Benjamin Hart uses language to illustrate the power of our representations, such as describing a bright future or a distorted image of something. We often assume these phrases are metaphors, but they are actually precise descriptions of what is going on inside the mind. By focusing on these submodalities, we can control our brain and avoid its control. A simple exercise that can help many people is to think of an experience that you were motivated to do and form a clear mental picture of it. Ask questions about the image, such as whether it is a movie or a snapshot, in color or black and white, close or far away, in the left, right, or center, high or low, or in the middle of your field of vision, associated or disassociated, and whether it has a frame around it or a panorama that goes on forever. The author then runs through auditory and kinesthetic submodalities such as hearing, and feeling. When hearing, consider the sound's loudness, inflections, rhythm, tempo, and location of the sound. When feeling, consider the texture, hardness, warmth, coolness, roughness, rigidity, and location of the feeling in your body. Some questions may seem difficult to answer at first, but as you become more aware of your own modalities, you will learn to improve your perceptions by something called overlap. If you are primarily auditory, you will do best by hooking into all the auditory cues you use to grasp an experience. Once you have a rich, powerful internal representation, it is easier to ease into a visual frame to work on visual submodalities or into a kinesthetic frame to experience the kinesthetic submodalities. In summary, the author emphasizes the importance of understanding and controlling our mental images to better understand our experiences. By focusing on auditory and kinesthetic submodalities, we can improve our perceptions and better understand our own experiences. By becoming more aware of our own modalities, we can better navigate our world and improve our overall perceptions. The swish pattern is a powerful technique used to address persistent problems and bad habits. It involves creating an internal representation of the behavior you want to change, which triggers new internal representations that put you in the resourceful states you desire. This process can be used to identify the behaviors that cause you to feel unresourceful and create a new internal representation of something else that would push food away. When you think of overeating, the first representation will instantly trigger the second, putting you in a state of not desiring food. The swish pattern works by identifying the behavior you want to change, making an internal representation of that behavior through your own eyes. Once you have a clear picture of the behavior you want to change, create a different representation of yourself as you would be if you made the desired change and what that change would mean to you. The picture you make of yourself in that desired state should be disassociated, as it will continue to be drawn to rather than one you feel you already have. The key to the swish pattern is speed and repetition. You must see and feel that small, dark picture become huge and bright and explode through the big picture, destroying it and replacing it with an even bigger, brighter picture of how you want things to be. Experience the great feeling of seeing things the way you want them. Yes. When you open your eyes for a split second to break the state, do the swish again. Start by seeing the thing you want to change as large, and then have your small picture grow in size and brightness and explode through whoosh. Pause to experience it. Open your eyes. Close your eyes. See what you want to change. See the original picture and how you want to change it. Whoosh it again. Do this 5 or 6 times, as fast as you can. The key to the swish pattern is speed and having fun doing it. If the picture you choose to move toward isn't exciting or desirous enough, it may not work. If not, run the pattern again, this time more clearly and rapidly, being certain to experience only a moment of the positive feeling from the new picture before opening your eyes and beginning the process again. You can also use the swish pattern with fears or frustrations. Take something you're afraid to do and make it exciting. Now swish the 2 of them 7 times. Now think of the thing you feared and how it makes you feel now. If the swish pattern has been done effectively, the moment you think of the things you feared, you should automatically switch to thinking of how you want things to be. Another variation of the swish pattern is to imagine a slingshot in front of you. Between the 2 posts is a picture of the present behavior you want to change. By using the swish pattern, you can create a powerful signal that puts you in the resourceful states you desire without having to think about it ever again. The mind can defy the laws of the universe in one crucial way: it can go backward. Time and events cannot, but the mind can. In a situation like an incomplete report, the key is to change your state and put yourself in a state that will allow you to get things done. This can be achieved by rearranging your internal representations. Successful people do this unconsciously by turning up the volume of the things that help them and turning off the sound of the things that don't. This chapter teaches how to model these processes. No one is always depressed. Depression is not a permanent condition like losing a leg. Most people who are experiencing depression have had many happy experiences in their lives, but they just don't represent these experiences to themselves in a bright, large, associated way. They may also represent happy times as far away instead of close. To change, one must change the submodalities, the very structure of the memories themselves. Next, link what used to make you feel bad to new representations that make you feel like taking the challenges of life with vigor, humor, patience, and strength. Quantum physics tells us that things do not change slowly over time, they make quantum leaps. If you don't like how you feel, change what you represent to yourself. Love is another example of a state that can defy the laws of the universe. It is produced by specific sets of actions or stimuli when they are perceived or represented in certain ways. One of the most important perceptual ingredients of falling in love is associating with all the things you love about someone and disassociating from the things you don't. Falling in love can be a heady, disorienting feeling because it's not a balanced one. You're totally associated with a few elements of another person that you find intoxicating, and you're not even aware of that person's faults. What ruins relationships? There are many factors. One may be that you no longer associate with the things that attracted you to that person in the first place. In fact, you may have gone so far as to associate with all the unpleasant experiences you've had with them and to disassociate from the pleasant ones you've shared. How does this happen? A person may have noticed and made big pictures of his mate's habit of leaving the cap off the toothpaste or strewing her stuff on the floor. Maybe he no longer writes her love notes. In conclusion, the mind has the ability to defy the laws of the universe in one crucial way by rearranging its internal representations. By doing so, individuals can become more resilient and capable of facing the challenges of life. Master communicators work like master locksmiths, able to figure out anyone's mental syntax by looking for things they weren't seeing before, listening for things they weren't hearing before, feeling things they weren't feeling before, and asking questions they didn't know to ask before. By thinking like a master locksmith, you can elicit anyone's strategies in any situation and learn how to give people precisely what they want and teach them how to do the same thing for themselves. The key to eliciting strategies is knowing that people will tell you everything you need to know about their strategies. They will tell you everything you need to know in words, their body, and even their eyes. You can learn to read a person as skillfully as you can learn to read a map or a book. Remember, a strategy is simply a specific order of representations: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory, that produces a specific result. All you need to do is get people to experience their strategy and take careful note of what they do specifically to get back into it. Before you can effectively elicit strategies, you must know what to look for, what clues are that tell which part of a person's nervous system they are using at any moment. It's important to recognize some of the common tendencies people develop and to use them to create greater rapport and results. For example, people tend to use a particular part of their neurology, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, more than others. Just as some people are right-handed and others are left-handed, people tend to favor one mode over the others. Before eliciting someone's strategies, you need to find out their main representational system. People who are primarily visual tend to see the world in pictures. They achieve their greatest sense of power by tapping into the visual part of their brain. They tend to speak quickly, not caring exactly how they get it out. They're just trying to put words to the pictures. They tend to speak in visual metaphors. People who are more auditory tend to be more selective about the words they use. They have more resonant voices, and their speech is slower, more rhythmic, and more measured. Since words mean a lot to them, they are careful about what they say. They tend to say things like, "That sounds right to me," or "I can hear what you're saying," or "Everything clicks." Kinesthetic people tend to be even slower. They react primarily to feelings. Their voices tend to be deep, and their words often ooze out slowly like molasses. They use metaphors from the physical world. They are always grasping for something concrete. Things are heavy and intense, and they need to get in touch with things. Just by watching people and listening to what they say, you can get an immediate impression of which systems they are using. NLP utilizes even more specific indicators of what's going on in someone's mind. Remember, a strategy is the sequence of internal representations that allow a person to accomplish a particular task. By reading their eyes, you can read their strategies. People's physiologies provide clues about their modes of thought and communication. For instance, high breathing in the chest indicates visual thinking, while even breathing from the diaphragm or the whole chest indicates auditory accessing. Visual people speak in quick bursts with high-pitched, nasal, or strained tonalities, while low, deep tonality and slow speech are usually kinesthetic. And even rhythm and clear, resonant tonality indicate auditory accessing. Eliciting strategies is a simple process that involves asking the right questions. There are strategies for everything, from buying and selling to being motivated and creative. To effectively elicit strategies, put the person in a fully associated state where they have no choice but to tell you exactly what their strategies are. State is the hotline to strategy, And trying to elicit strategy when a person isn't in a fully associated state is like trying to make toast when the toaster's not plugged in. Strategy elicitation follows this pattern. Put the person back in the kitchen, back to the time when they were experiencing a particular state, and find out what was the very first thing that caused them to go into that state. After they tell you what happened, watch him and ask, what was the very next thing that caused you to be in that state? Was it, and so on, until he's in the state you were pursuing. Every strategy elicitation follows this pattern. You have to get the person in the appropriate state by having them remember a specific time when they were motivated, loved, or creative, and then get them to reconstruct their strategy by asking clear, succinct questions about the syntax of what they saw, heard, and felt. Finally, get the submodalities of the strategy by finding out what specifically about the picture, sounds, and sensations caused the person to be in that state. For eliciting a motivation strategy with someone else, first put the other person in a receptive state. Ask, can you remember a time when you were totally motivated to do something? Then ask, as you remember that time, what was the very first thing that caused you to be totally motivated? If the person answers that he once heard a powerful speech and immediately felt motivated to do something, his motivational strategy begins with auditory external A. Next, ask, after you heard that thing, what was the very next thing that caused you to be totally motivated to do something? Did you picture something in your mind? Did you say something to yourself? Or did you have a certain feeling or emotion? If the person answers that he got a picture in his mind, the second part of his strategy is visual internal VI. After hearing something that motivates him, he immediately forms a mental picture that gets him more motivated, likely a picture that helps him focus on what he wants to do. Physiology is a powerful tool that can instantly change states and produce dynamic results. It is essential to adopt a vital, dynamic, and excited physiology to achieve powerful results in any situation. Physiology and internal representations are linked, and if one changes, the other instantly changes. When your physiology runs down, the positive energy of your state runs down, and when it brightens and intensifies, your state does the same thing. Physiological manipulation is a crucial part of a cybernetic loop that is always in action. When your physiology runs down, the positive energy of your state runs down, and when your physiology brightens and intensifies, your state does the same thing. Emotions can be influenced by physiology, and there are two ways to change state: by changing internal representations or by changing physiology. To change your state in an instant, you can change your physiology by zapping, such as changing your breathing, posture, facial expression, and movement. If you start to grow tired, you can do specific things with your physiology to communicate this to yourself, such as a slump in shoulder position or relaxation of major muscle groups. Change your physiology to the way it is when you feel strong, and your body will make it so. Beliefs have a significant impact on health, as sickness, health, vitality, and depression are often decisions made with our physiology. Depressed people often walk around with their eyes down, drop their shoulders, take weak, shallow breaths, and do all the things that put their body in a depressed physiology. Depression is a result, and it requires very specific body images to create it. However, you can also create the result called ecstasy by changing your physiology in certain specific ways. When people say they can't do something, they usually reply, well, I don't know how to change physiology. Act as if you did know how. Stand the way you would be standing if you did know how to do it. Breathe the way you would be breathing if you did know how to do it right now. And make your face look as if you could do it right now. As soon as you stand that way, breathe that way, and put your physiology in that state, you instantly feel you can do it. The amazing leverage of being able to adapt and change physiology allows people to make things they could never do before. By maintaining the right physiology, you will feel as if you can handle what you didn't think you could before. In summary, physiology is a powerful tool for instantly changing states and producing dynamic results. By adopting a vital, dynamic, and excited physiology, you can achieve powerful results that will change your lives. The concept of mind-body correlations has been widely studied, with some researchers suggesting that the body acts as a tourniquet to maintain blood supply during physical changes or alter the brain's functioning. In 1907, French physician Israel Weinbaum theorized that facial expressions can change feelings. Today, researchers like Dr. Paul Ekman at the University of California in San Francisco have found that emotions are reflected on the face, and people who put themselves in a physiology of belief will register their feelings. The scientific community is now verifying these findings, and it is essential to take good care of your body to ensure optimal functioning of the brain. Moshe Feldenkrais's work on movement has been instrumental in teaching people how to think and live, finding that working on a kinesthetic level can change self-image, state, and overall brain functioning. Feldenkrais's works are invaluable for creating human transformation through changing physiology in a specific way. Congruency is an important corollary of physiology, as giving contradictory messages can hinder personal growth and success. Incongruence is a key factor in personal power, as it allows the brain to respond to clear signals from the body and words. When a person's body and words match, they give clear signals to the brain that they want to produce the desired outcome. Developing congruency is a major key to personal power, as it allows the brain to respond accordingly. If the signals provided by the body are weak or conflicting, the brain doesn't have a clear sense of what to do. This is similar to a soldier going into battle with a general who is uncertain about the outcome of a battle. To develop congruency, one can model the physiologies of people who are congruent. The essence of modeling is to discover which part of the brain an effective person uses in a given situation. Mirroring someone's physiology exactly taps the same part of the brain. To be effective, one should aim to use their brain in the same way. To identify 5 people with powerful physiologies that you would like to mirror, observe how they differ from yours, how they sit, stand, move, and make key facial expressions and gestures. Take a moment to sit in the way one of these people sits, make similar facial expressions and gestures, and notice how you feel. In summary, understanding the relationship between mind-body correlations is crucial for personal growth and success. By focusing on physiology and focusing on congruency, individuals can become more effective and successful in their lives. By identifying and observing powerful physiologies, individuals can develop a more effective and confident mindset, ultimately leading to greater personal success. Mirroring involves describing the state you are in while mirroring someone, and then checking with them to understand their feelings. About 80 to 90% of the time, you will use the same words to describe the state you are in. This process is similar to a psychic experience, but without psychic training. The accuracies can be defying rational explanation. People in seminars have learned that it can be done after 5 minutes of training. If you come close, you will find yourself in the same state of anger, pain, sadness, elation, joy, or ecstasy as the other person, but without having a conversation in advance. Recent research supports this idea, with neurophysiologist Donald York and speech pathologist Tom Jensen finding that words have a characteristic electrical pattern in the brain. They have taught computers to recognize these patterns, allowing them to interpret words in a person's mind even before they are spoken. This allows computers to read minds, much like we can when we precisely mirror physiology. Thank you for listening to this audiobook by Benjamin W. Hart, published by 33 Minute Brief Books.